So we're all in the same business. The problem is we really don't know how the individual pieces that we're working on add up.
We think that you have to change the conditions in which people live. And in order to do that, you've got to create a greater partnership, a greater sense of, for everyone in a community, you can't be successful unless the least among us and all children are successful.
Research shows that too few young people are entering adulthood ready for college, work, and life.
Every day you get a statistic about the teen pregnancy rate, the violence rate, the dropout rate, the substance abuse rate, the unemployment rate. The fact that young people aren't ready for college, work, and life isn't news. We report that data all the time. In fact, we report it so much that people have either become numb to it.
And what we know from the research is that really only about 4 in 10 young people are entering into adulthood really ready to go, and about 2 in 10 are really not doing so well, and there's another 4 in 10 that fall in the middle. What we know is if they get the supports and opportunities that they need, even entering into high school and have them sustain through high school, you can really change that picture. From 4 in 10 doing well to 7 in 10 doing well. It's pretty basic to say that can kids get the supports that they need, caring adults, educational opportunities, supports in their community. If they could get those things, we really could make a difference.
Everyone picks a piece of the puzzle and wants to work on it, and that leads to fragmentation. So it's not that people don't care, it's not that people aren't creating programs, creating opportunities, trying to help young people do better, but what we've lacked is a big picture approach to it. The current way that we're doing business is not getting the outcomes that we want.
Ready by 21 challenges leaders to change the odds for youth by changing the way we do business. It is a call to action for leaders to set bigger goals, use bolder strategies, and build better partnerships so that together we can make a difference for children and youth. The Ready by 21 approach builds on existing efforts in the community. It provides leaders with frameworks, strategies, and tools to help leaders work better together.
The fact is, from our perspective, you just can't succeed anymore at a high level unless you're working within some sort of collaborative framework. A true community is when elected officials, business leaders, nonprofit, faith-based leaders put the community first, actually talk to each other.
The Ready by 21 approach challenges leaders to think differently, and act together in order to improve outcomes for children and youth. Leaders in Richmond, Virginia took up the challenge. In 2008, the Richmond Partnership for Out-of-School Time and the United Way of Greater Richmond and Petersburg began a strategic planning process using the Ready by 21 approach. Their goal was to strengthen the impact of the region's out-of-school time programs and increase their availability to young people and their parents. The landscape in Richmond looks similar to other metro areas across the country. Richmond Public Schools serve approximately 24,000 students. In 2006, the high school graduation rate was only 67%. 30% of students live below the poverty line, and more than half of them are being raised by a single parent.
Well, I think what was missing, we have a lot of excellent programs in place, but we are somewhat in silos. We have a wonderful early childhood initiative. We are moving forward with K-12. We're beginning to make some inroads into college readiness and retention in college. But we really need to do a better job of communicating across areas. And so the Ready by 21 initiative and the P20 Education Pipeline initiative that I had an opportunity to lead seemed like such a great opportunity for the Richmond metro region.
It's hard to think of a broad scope of 0 to 21 and then try to develop strategies around that to do anything. And it could take you 10, 20 years to develop that. So you've got to start somewhere. To have a resource that's already been developed at a national level, that's customizable for local communities, to put that out and to act quickly on it was such a win-win for us in the beginning.
While education is critical to youth development, the education pipeline needs to be wrapped with the added supports that ensure children enter kindergarten ready to learn and leave high school ready for college, work, and life.
To me, it's the systemic, big picture pipeline and support that's incredibly important, so that if young people start as children, 2 and 3 years of age, with the proper supports, inside and outside of school, they'll be better ready to enter K-12, they'll be better ready to enter the college environment, and we'll be better able to prepare them for meaningful careers.
I think it's helped us just revisit the idea that this child is a work in progress from prior to birth until we set them out into the world, and that we really have to coordinate these activities, that it's not a standalone and it's not a you do something because it makes you feel good and then we'll pick up something because it makes us feel, that we have to connect all of these pieces.
The Ready by 21 approach brings together leaders from across the community who are ready to paint the picture of what they want their children and communities to look like, gather relevant data to look at the real picture, identify the gaps they can tackle by working together, and track their progress over time to make sure that they're making a difference.
We've developed the strategies, we've developed outcomes around those strategies, and so we've developed a case statement so that we can take that to our very busy local officials and say, here's why out-of-school time supports matter.
The strategic planning team then developed a multi-year action agenda with specific outcomes and measurable goals that support the long-term shared vision they have for children and youth in Richmond.
I think we will be far ahead if we learn to partner together, to pass children from one level of work to another, from one provider to another, so that we can stay engaged with the kids that we have.
We have immediately changed the trajectory of what Richmond leaders are going to be able to do, because they've joined forces to define their goals together, to identify what their resources are together, to set priorities together, to make action plans together, and to be accountable together. That's doing business differently.
That's the smallest field makes the biggest difference. There has to be that leaders and the ground up so that they're coming together and that they're meeting. And then we took all the information that Ready by 21 and the forum had about engage those leaders and really learn from it, so that our planning process, when we hit the ground, we're able to move 3 months to have an actionable agenda. That's pretty important. It's pretty amazing.
Over the next 5 years, the Ready by 21 partnership is committed to really increasing the scale and the impact of this work. What we'd like to see is really 2,000 leaders that are committed to really doing business in a different way in at least 200 places across the country. And in 20 of those places, we really want to see that leaders have come together differently to really track not only how they're doing as leaders, but how they're increasing the supports and opportunities in communities.
Ready by 21 framework is exactly the right framework from our perspective. It's not just about education, it's about families, it's about community, that you work together to make sure that young people succeed.
So we have to ask basic questions, bring that information back to leaders. We have to let them get outraged that they are doing things and not getting the results. And then we have to very quickly be able to put in front of them, but look at all the resources that you have in your community so that they can be optimistic that they can do something.